Good morning, Christina M. Good morning, Dana K. Good morning, Domi Chen. Good morning, Dominica. And iPhone, which may be Arjuna Prabhu, and we're bowing down to you. Isabel, Spirit Soul, good morning, Isa. Good morning, Jamuna Jaya. Nancy R., good morning. Nice to see you. Narayani Dasi, good morning. The Pink Yogi of Harlem, good morning. Poppy, good morning. And Prati Chaturvedi, good morning. Susan Weiser Mason, good morning. Suzanne, good morning. Venetia, good morning. And Yogeshwari, good morning. Oh, it's so nice to see all of you.
And good morning to Jeffrey Ackler as well. Isn't it nice to welcome everyone? So, sorry, Krishna, and welcome. So we are live streaming now. So please keep that in mind. If you're shy, we're going to keep the gallery view because it is a community class and we want to see everyone. But if you aren't feeling shy and would like to turn on your video and be part of this, we'd really appreciate it. If not, don't worry. It's no pressure. Krishna knows what beautiful faces you have, so that's all that matters. So we have a lot of verses today, as you can see in the chat. We're doing Canto 10, Chapter 34, verses 20 through 32. So I'm going to share the screen. And if we have any volunteers for reading verses, we have a lot of verses to read. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the English. We're going to do Sanskrit and English for the ones that, like all the ones that have purports, and then we're going to review the English all together because it's like a whole adventure with it. Okay, so does anybody want to volunteer to read the first one? Any raised hands? Amrita Kishori, yay, go ahead.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Data Govindo Ramascha Bhuta Vikramaha Vijara Turvaneratriam Madhya Gavraja Yoshitam.
Beautiful. Do you want to read the translation and the purport?
Okay. Once Lord Govinda and Lord Rama, the performers of wonderful feats, were playing in the forest at night with the young girls of Vraja. Purport. This verse introduces a new pastime. According to the Acharyas, the occasion mentioned here is the Holika Purnima, a day also known as Gora Purnima.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Did you, since we have so many verses, did you want to do like 2 or 3 and then we'll give somebody else a turn?
Okay. Upagiyamanao lalitam Sri Janail Bada Sauhridahi Svalan Kritanu Liptangao Saru Gupnao Virajom Barao.
And then just the English translation.
Krishna and Balaram wore flower garlands and spotless garments, and their limbs were beautifully decorated and anointed. The women sang their glories in a charming way, bound to them by affection.
And then last one for you, Amrita Kishori, and then we'll let somebody else have a turn.
Nishamukam amanayantav udito tupatarakam malika gandamatari jashtam kumudat bayuna. The two lords praised the nightfall, signaled by the rising of the moon and the appearance of stars, a lotus-scented breeze, and bees intoxicated by the fragrance of jasmine flowers.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Amrita Kishori.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to volunteer to read like 1 verse, 2 verses? You don't have to do too many.
I can read a verse or 2.
Jeffrey, yay, go for it.
All right. Jagat tu sarva bhutanam manasravana mangalam Payantau yugat Svaramanda Murchitam. Krishna and Balaram sang, producing the entire range of musical sounds simultaneously. Their singing brought happiness to the ears and minds of all living beings.
Okay, next.
Gopyasta Gitamakarnya Murchita Navitanripa Sram Sadukulam Atmanam Shrasta Kesha Shrajam Tata. The gopis became stunned when they heard that song. Forgetting themselves, O king, they did not notice that their fine garments were becoming loose and their hair and garlands disheveled.
Okay. One more and then we'll give somebody else a turn and see if somebody else wants to.
Evam vikridato svairam gayato sampramatavat sankachuda itika kyato dana danu charobat yagat. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
While Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram thus played according to their own sweet will and sang to the point of apparent intoxication, a servant of Kuvera named Shankachuda came upon the scene.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting into the action, folks. Who wants to read the next verses? Any volunteers? You can either raise your virtual hand or unmute yourself.
I'll try.
Oh, Haribo, Nancy. Yes, please, go ahead.
Tayar Nirikshato Rajams Tanatam Par Pramada Janam Krosh Jantam Kalayam Asha Disye Udechayam Ashkantakata Ha. Sorry.
No, it's okay. There's some hard ones.
I tried to do that landing, stick that landing. O king, even as the two lords looked on, Shankachuda, is that right?
Shankashuda, I think.
Shuda, brazenly began driving the women off towards the. Sorry, I've got my screen is too big. Or off towards the
North.
The women who had accepted Krishna and Balaram as their lords began to cry out to them. You want me to read the purport
for this
one?
one? Yes,
according
please.
to Srila Visvanatha Chakravarti, the demon Shankachuda shook a large stick at the beautiful young girls, thus frightening them and driving them towards the north. He did not actually touch them, as is corroborated by the following verse.
Well, now you have to do the next one because it's corroborated.
I'll do the next one. Kroshatam Krishna Rameti Vilokya Sva Parigraham Yataga Dasyuna Grasta Bratarav Anvadhatvatam. Translation: hearing their devotees crying out Krishna, Rama, and seeing that they were just like cows being stolen by a thief, Krishna and Balaram began to run after the demon.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Did you want to try another one, or does anybody else want to have a turn? I don't see any hands.
All right, here we go. Go ahead. Mabai Shtaya Abhayar Raval Shala Hastau Karash Vinau As Edatus Tama Tam Tarasa Dvaritam Guyaya Kadamamam.
Oh, that's a really hard one. Sorry about that.
Oh. The lords called out in reply, "Do not fear." Then they picked up the logs of the shala tree and quickly pursued the lowest of Guyakas, who swiftly ran away.
Haribo, thank you so much, Nancy. Okay, anybody else want to volunteer to read some verses. We only have 29, 30, 31, and 32 left. You can either, like I said, raise your virtual hand or unmute yourself. I'm sharing the screen, so I can't see if anybody's like waving. So please unmute yourself or raise your hand.
I guess I'll give one a try.
Go for it, Jamunajaya.
Saviksha Tavanu Prapapto Kala Mrityo Evot Vijan Vishya Stityanamudaha Radravas Jivitek Chalya. When Shankachuta saw the two of them coming toward him like the personified forces of time and death, he was filled with anxiety. Confused, he abandoned the women and fled for his life.
You want to try another one?
Taman van Havad Govindo Yatra Yatra Sadavati Jiriush Tapchiro Ratnam Tasthau Rak San Studio Balala. Lord Govinda chased the demon wherever he ran, eager to take his crest jewel. Meanwhile, Lord Balaram stayed with the women to protect them. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the women were fatigued from being driven away, and thus Lord Balaram protected them and so consoled them as they rested. Meanwhile, Lord Krishna went after the demon.
Teamwork. Thank you so much, Jamunajaya. Did you want to do any more? Does anybody else want to finish off? We only have 2 verses left. If not, go ahead. Because I know Paul would do it, but he's all the way in the other room listening. Okay. Avidura iva bhyetya shidastasya duratmanaha jahara mushti naivanga sahachuda manim vibhu. The mighty Lord overtook Shankashuda from a great distance, as if from nearby, my dear king. And then with his fists, the Lord removed the wicked demon's head together with his crest jewel. Okay. Anybody else? I don't want to be greedy and grab the last verses if somebody else wants to read them. No? Okay. Shankashudam nihayatvam manim adaya basvaram swaram agrajaya dadat pritya pashyantinam chayosh shitam. And since this is the last verse, we'll do a synonym. So Shankashudam, the demon Shankashuda, nihatya, killing, evam, in this manner, manim, the jewel, adaya, taking, baswaram, brilliant, agrajaya, to his elder brother, Lord Balaram, adadat, gave, pritya, with satisfaction, pashyantinam, as they were watching, Shah and Yoshitam, the women. Having thus killed the demon Shankashuda and taken away his shining jewel, Lord Krishna gave it to his elder brother with great satisfaction as the gopis watch. Purport. Various gopis perhaps thought that Govinda would give one of them the valuable jewel. To prevent rivalry among them, Sri Krishna happily gave the jewel to his older brother Balaram. And thus ends the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 34th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Nanda Maharaj Saved and Shankashuda Slain. So that's so exciting, everyone. So next time we'll be starting a new chapter tomorrow. Does anybody want to volunteer to do the prayers, Mangalacharana? It could be somebody at the temple room, if Adi Purushaba, if anybody wants to do the Mangalacharana. Does anybody want to volunteer? I don't see our dear Krishna Daya Prabhu, who usually sings them for us. Jeffrey, you're gonna go for it. Go for it, Prabhu.
All right. Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale. Oof, I forgot it. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Rupa Kadayam Dadati Swapadantikam.
Yes,
Vandeham.
Vandeham Shri
Himangi,
Guru
go for it.
Shri Utaparakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Larita Shri Vishakandritam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Te Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Haribo. So many devotees being so brave today and helping out. And thank you so much, Hamangi, and everybody else who unmuted to help prompt. It's a long set of prayers. It can be really hard to remember it. So thank you so much for taking courage and glorifying the Lord, Jeffrey. So my friends, we pray that everybody here is able to participate. Like I said, if you feel shy and just want to write something in the chat, we'll be happy to read it aloud for you. Or if you have any questions or comments, this is our community class. We have the next half hour before the deities show up for us to glorify the Lord, talk about these beautiful verses, such a beautiful pastime. So does anybody have anything they'd like to share to start off? Hari Purusha Prabhu, you're unmuted.
Okay, Hare Krishna. You can hear me okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a play called the Jagannath Priyanatikam. It's about the appearance of Lord Jagannath. The devotees performed this on the anniversary of Lord Chaitanya's appearance in Mayapur. And there's just like there's the Ayurveda, the Vedic literature dealing with medicine, the Shilpa Shastra dealing with architecture, there's a Vedic body of knowledge that has to do with drama. There has to be a hero. There has to be a good villain, totally, rotten to the core, bad. There has to be a twist. You can hear me okay? There has to be a twist, something that's out of sync, and then during the course of the drama, it is corrected, So all the principles of drama are complete in Krishna's pastimes. And I can remember, whenever a devotee giving classes, when I was a kid, all of a sudden people start paying attention because it's actually experienced. I can remember being enthralled. I probably was only 7 years old or something like that, enthralled with this cartoon. There was an evil, what was his name? Oil Can Harry. Remember him? He has this black mustache and a black hat, Oil Can Harry is the bad guy, and he ties Little Nell to the railroad tracks. You never saw that cartoon? Little Nell is the heroine, and he's trying to get the deed to her ranch, so he ties her to the railroad tracks, and the train is coming. And then there's this hero, Dudley Do-Right. And he comes charging in and he saves Little Nell and he defeats Oil Can Harry. But anyway, this kind of thing is going on where there's a bad guy and a hero, and the hero recognizes someone innocent as being exploited. But when I was watching that, I was thinking, okay, so Oil Can Harry is bad and Dudley Do-Right comes and saves Little Nell, but then Dudley Do-Right gets the ranch and Little Nell. You know, it's kind of like, you know, what's the difference? Not much difference between Oil Can Harry and Dudley Do-Right, you know, in one sense, because they're both acting in their own selfish interests. But when Krishna is a hero, and he has actually pure love for us, there's no selfish motivation, it's perfect, because there's pure heroism, unmotivated by any kind of personal profit. And so I was thinking, well, that's a good story. You know, here's this this evil Shakachuda, is that how you say it? The demon, and there's these innocent girls, and he's attacking them, and then Krishna and Balaram rescue them. So it's kind of sweet and perfect. So, and it's consoling to know that this kind of thing is going on, that there is some rectifying, heroic character, willing, able, concerned, and able to help us in our difficulties in this world.
Do you remember what Dudley Do-Right used to say when he would come on the scene? Do you remember his calling card?
I will come to save.
Yeah, here I come to save the day.
And
Now I'm imagining Balaram and Krishna saying that.
yeah, like that. But they did come and save the day. And Oil Can Harry would always go, yeah, you know, he had this snarkly, you know, giggle, and he would twirl his mustache, yeah, you know, he was doing this bad stuff. But you know, it's nice to know that in reality, Krishna's there for us. Thank you, Krishna. Well, glories to Srila Prabhupada telling us.
Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu. That was hilarious and enlightening. Okay, I see Jamuna Jaya had her hand up first, and then Bhima Prabhu, please go ahead.
I'm really loving that last verse where Krishna gives the jewel to Balaram. And it reminds me of the beautiful pastime when Krishna and Balaram are entering the forest. And so many times where Krishna says, they're not doing it for me, it's to you, Balaram. Even when the wives of the Brahmana, Krishna, when he sends the cowherd boys, he says, don't say that I'm hungry. Tell them that my brother Balaram is hungry. And so this sweetness of this rasa of the sibling pastime is just so sweet, and how wonderful is Krishna that he defers to his brother. And I know I am the younger sister of three very loving brothers I talk about a lot, that I just always so resonate with that relationship that Krishna, what does he do? His first expansion is to get himself a brother, to have this loving exchange. And as we know that Balaram represents the guru, the teacher. And so is it if Krishna is deferring to the teacher here, I'm giving the jewel to my teacher, to my guru. So I was just really struck. I'm always struck by the Krishna Balaram pastimes together. How wonderful is Krishna that, he expanded himself into this teacher, into this cohort in crime, and that he gives them so much love. So thank you, Hare Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu, thank you, Jamuna Jaya. I also love that that's one of the first things he does. He's like, I need a brother. Bhima Prabhu.
Haribol. Wonderful images to see the fun that Krishna and Balaram have. By the way, am I coming out okay here? I'm a little bit in the field.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So So as far as application into our everyday life of this particular pastime, we see that in the movement we've gone through many circumstances where devotees have sort of been led a little bit astray by powerful leaders, or etc. And then in the end, Krishna, of course, the devotees come back together and get a base and feel protected and secured by Krishna and Balaram being, of course, the representation of Guru, the first original Guru, Balaram. So in the end, all glories to the Guru who brings you back into Krishna's arms, into his shelter. We can also take from this, as applied into our everyday, that we are given troubles to face every day. Our mind is constantly being dragged away, like the gopis, by the pursuit of wealth, our everyday job. Our mind becomes fettered we might not be greedy, we might just be going through our day, but even the best of us become very anxious sometimes. And that this is sort of like the gopis being led astray by Sankachuta. Remember, he has this jewel that represents this unlimited wealth. And so that, in the end, we sort of, if we call out to Krishna like the gopis did, we we'll find ourselves, we'll find that Krishna will arrange things, and that we have to have patience, whether it be daily patience, hourly patience, to allow Krishna to perform his pastime with you. I've known that over 40 years of being in the movement, that I've seen things come and go in my own life and within the movement, within the society. But in the end, for those who are sincere, for those who, basically always have as the cynosure of their attention, as the priority in their day, Krishna consciousness, that Krishna somehow leads them back. Krishna led me back. I was dragged way far away, and I was led back literally by the hair. And so we can take great solace into understanding that Krishna and Balaram will come running after us in the fields, in this unified field called this material world, and we will hear their whispers, we'll hear their cry, here we come to save the day. So it is a great pastime. It is a great pastime in our own life, and I just want to thank all of you for being here and allowing me to share it with you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu, our resident poet, always kind of bringing it in visually and poetically for us. Nancy, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for sharing and for bearing with me while I attempt to read the Sanskrit. But what I came up for me was that I'll never be abandoned. Even when Krishna runs off to deal with the demon, his brother is there protecting, and so that I always have protection. That as troubles arise, as I have fears, whether it be from the material world or even just from what happens between my ears, I will not be abandoned. There will always be protection for me. And I did love that Krishna gave the jewel to his brother, rather than creating more anxiety for the gopis. That he said, this is a treasure that I want to not cause confusion. Krishna has given me so much, and if I think that I deserve something more because the games and prizes, then I'm really in not in the place that Krishna wants me. Krishna wants me to keep on doing his service, being of service to him, and not worrying about the results. So thanks so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you again, Nancy, for being brave and showing up and trying to do the Sanskrit. It is difficult, and it's only practice makes progress, right? That's true not just in us reciting Sanskrit, but in just our spiritual lives, right? It's just make practicing and showing up. And that's why we so appreciate, like what I wrote in the chat, we so appreciate all of you who show up every day or show up as regularly as you can and participate in this class and are here to glorify the Lord, are here to encourage each other, are here to support each other in this beautiful bhakti path. And I really love what you said, Nancy, about how we're never abandoned. We're never abandoned by Krishna. We're never abandoned by Radha. We're never abandoned by all of their expansions. They are there in our hearts. And they're, like you said, even in our minds when we feel so alone and we feel so attacked sometimes in our minds. They're there. They're there. We just have to turn to them. I know that our dear Rukmini Walker, who is always saying that she likes to think of Krishna in our heart as sometimes being unemployed. He's just sitting there, like just waiting for us to turn to him and like engage him and for us to like, you know, do some kind of interaction and loving kind of devotional service to him. He's just waiting. He's just waiting there. So is there anybody else that would like to share? We still have like about 13 minutes or so until the deities show up. We'd love to hear from people that we don't usually hear from. I see some faces that, well, some names that I haven't seen in a while, like Angel. Welcome, Angel. So nice to see you. I see Sharmila. There's so many people here who are, you're always showing up and we'd love to hear your voices. You don't even have to turn on your video or you can even write in the chat. We're like, you know, just like how Krishna says, like, you know, you don't have to offer me like a big feast. Just give us like a fruit or flower. You know, we're not saying that we're Krishna, but you know, what in speaking in this class, you are offering something to Krishna because this is Srimad Bhagavatam class, right? And we're here to glorify the Lord. So you want to offer your little leaf, your virtual flower, your virtual little bit of water or fruit. We're happy to be here and support you in it. Anybody else? Yes, Adipurusha Prabhu, is there somebody else in the temple room that would like to speak? You just have to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Here we're asking around. It occurs to me that we prayed at the beginning of class, Prabhupada, show us what you want us to say. And Krishna answers prayers. They don't go unanswered. And what occurs to me, what Krishna seems to be reminding me of, is a class given by Hari Prasad. Do you know Hari Prasad? Yeah? And the class was about loneliness. Nancy hit on that word, loneliness. You know, the Beatles had that song, all the lonely people, where do they come from? Where do they all belong? You know, and it's an interesting phenomena in a city like New York, where there's millions of people packed into this little island, stacked on top of each other, 20, 30 stories tall, and swarming through the streets and the subways and everything. And yet, in one sense, because of material consciousness, is a possibility of feeling isolated, lonely in a crowd, you know? And what Hari Prasad was saying in class, like Nancy said, that we're never alone, that Krishna, we might be alone with Krishna. That's an interesting concept. When somebody says, I'm all alone, I'm all by my alone. You know, we're actually alone with Krishna. Sometimes Krishna arranges that because he wants to be with us, you know? And we ignore the fact that we're not alone. When actually, just like you were saying, Mother Rukmini was saying that, you know, Krishna's right there, always available. Always, always, every minute. In everyone's life, Krishna's there for them, ready to hear our heart, ready to provide what we need even before we ask, and continually caring for us, arranging learning experiences, drawing us closer. And that is like, how glorious. When you say how wonderful is Krishna, how wonderful is Krishna that he loves us and that he never leaves us. Even if we take birth as a worm in stool, he goes there with us and continually trying to make the path before us. In the Ramayana, there's that one passage where Sita is considering whether to go to the forest with Ram or to stay in the palace. She wasn't even considering it. Ram was telling her, "You're a princess, you should stay in the palace. What are you talking about going to the forest? The jungle is, uncomfortable and harsh." And she said, "I will go before you and trample down the thorns so that the path will be smooth for you, the complete selflessness." And Krishna's like that. He's going before us and trying to minimize the difficulties we're putting ourselves in by our mistakes and poor consciousness. So we're never alone. How wonderful is Krishna. Whenever you get that feeling that you're alone, then try to remember that that's a mistake, that it's not really true. Krishna's there for us, right? Oh, glory to Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Adi Purusha Prabhu. There's so many beautiful nuggets that everybody's sharing. I'm going to have a hard time finding a title for today because everybody's always giving me so many beautiful things. I just wanted to quickly share in the chat, Poppy wrote, she said, Haribo, my apologies, I'm in the train now, which I realize a lot of you are probably commuting, which is why you can't participate. So thank you for writing in the chat. She wrote, my share is that it's wonderful how Krishna arranges some sort of help in any form or shows up in many forms to be everywhere, every way for a devotee when there's a true desire and we surrender for help and protection. Krishna is always everywhere in many forms, and we just need to purify our mind and heart to receive it all. Hare Krishna. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Poppy. And I see that Bruce has his hand up and he hasn't shared yet. I know that Jamuna Jai and Bhima have their hands up, but we haven't heard from Bruce yet. So I just want to give him a turn. So Bruce, can you unmute, please?
Hare Krishna, good morning. I just want to share a very simple experience that happened to me last week. I went to Canada on my motorcycle with my son and returned after visiting with family on my motorcycle alone. I was in some small town in Pennsylvania and I went in to prepay the gas, and the gentleman was just so inquisitive. He kept asking me, he was like, "Are you alone?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, you don't have a friend coming? You're alone." And he repeated this like 4 or 5 times. And I said, "Honestly, sir, I'm never alone." I said, "God is with me." Some small town in Pennsylvania. And he looked at me and he gave me a beautiful, warm smile. And then as I'm pumping my gas, I could see that he was observing me out the window of the gas station and in the store. And he came out and he spoke with me. And we had the most beautiful conversation for about 15, 20 minutes. He kept going in with, as a customer would come in, he would say, "Excuse me, hang on, run." He'd run in, run back out. And we just had such a beautiful, loving, sharing exchange with the knowledge of knowing that Krishna is with all of us. So simple share. It was just such a beautiful, heartwarming. I floated for miles and miles on my bike after that, just with a great, big, filled, warm heart and smile on my face. So there's my share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bruce. See, but those kind of testimonies make a big difference. And we so appreciate you sharing that and being brave enough to do it during the community class. So we so appreciate you. And I'm sorry, I see that Sharmila has her hand up and we rarely hear from her. So I just want to give her a chance to speak. So Sharmila, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. As you said, I barely speak because it's very hard for me to speak. And I wanted to share this in the community class because what we go through is real, and what we endure in life is real. And how we surrender to Krishna is also real, and how he brings us help is also very real. 2 years ago, yesterday, I lost my son. And that has been the toughest endure of my life. I don't even know how I could have even gone through all this the past 2 years, but somehow I came into Krishna consciousness. I have been a Madhva, a Brahmin all throughout my life, but I heard the bhajans online, and I thought I will reach out to Krishna. I will reach out to ISKCON grief support, and I reached out, and that's where I met Rukmini Walker Prabhu, and she has guided me ever since. She has held my hand. She has held my son's thoughts and his memories, and she, you know. Once we surrender to Krishna, somehow, somewhere, he sends us help. He sends us help in this world to navigate. We will feel all alone. We'll feel very lonely. I lost all my friends, all my family. But there was this one thread who guided me through all this darkness, and that was Krishna. And through Rukmini Walker Prabhu, somehow I was able to get my family through the darkest hours. So it's very real what we endure in this material life, and it's very real how Krishna sends help from the corners that we least expect. We just need to reach out to him. We just need to keep him in our vision and say, Krishna, I surrender myself to you. You gave me this to endure, and please guide me through this. So once we surrender, he somehow sends us help, somehow, somewhere. So please, as a thing, please keep him in your hearts, and keep Krishna in your hearts. He will guide you somewhere, somehow. Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Sharmila, before you mute yourself, can you please share your son's name so that we can all offer prayers to his soul today?
Yes, his name is Vishnu, and his name is Vishnu Murthy, and I'll just share his picture as well, because
Yes,
he was a
please.
beautiful soul, and he was a very loving soul, and I don't know if you can see him.
Yes, we can
This
see
is-
him. Oh,
this
Hare
is
Krishna
Vishnu.
Vishnu. Thank you for being thank you for being a tool to bring your mother closer to Krishna, in a way. And thank you so much, Sharmila, for sharing him, for sharing your story. I don't know about anybody else, but it touched my heart. It touches my heart every time I hear it. So thank you so much. There's a
Haribo.
lot of hearts going up,
Thank you.
Sharmila. I don't know if you could see them. We all love you very much, and we so
Thank
appreciate
you, Damodar Priya Dasiji. Thank you so much. Haribo.
Haribo. Thank you. Wow, the power of community classes, everyone. And sorry, Bhima Prabhu, please go ahead. Thank you so much for giving Bruce and Sharmila a chance to speak.
I just wanted to say Sharmila had such a wonderful take on this, and the fact that she reached out. She got with Krishna. Now sometimes we wait around and we're patient for Krishna to show up on the scene, but after all, that being alone is almost a necessity. That point where we realize that that we actually have to, in the last vestige of such a materially, let's say, tragic situation, because we all know spiritually this is just all glorious, pastimes of how Krishna, takes us home or enters our heart. But then in that loneliness, we get with Krishna. It's almost a necessity that we understand that there's nothing outside us that's going to, and then Krishna that brings us. We have to come to that contemplative stillness where we say, Krishna, you're all I've got. Please make sense of this. Please assure me that everything is all right. Because a broken heart is precisely where Krishna enters. He enters through a broken heart. It's a door opening, and then he seals it back up again. And we can see as Rukmini is sort of like Balaram. Rukmini is the guru here. She's the one who was sort of the healing agent, the confidant, who reintroduced Krishna onto the scene with Sharmila, and it's such a wonderful, heart-rending story that should remind us all that Krishna is at work, Krishna is at play, Krishna will protect, Krishna will give shelter, and Krishna will send someone like Rukmini, or even all of you. I drove to New York City and yesterday, and I go a whole week without the Association of Devotees except on these morning classes, and then for one day I'm in the Association of Devotees, and when I come back in the middle of the night and I wake up in the morning, for some reason my whole day's barometer is when I wake up in the morning, and I was just overjoyed and I couldn't explain it. It was just the joy of being with devotees. I was able to take that with me. And the more I visit New York, which is quite the trip, and I leave at 3 a.m. and, I have to drive all night, the more I want to keep returning because there's devotees there. So I just want to once again thank all of you and thank Sharmila for being with us because she's a true grounding source of comfort that we know that Krishna loves us. Even in the darkest of times. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhima Prabhu. And Sharmila, yes, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to thank Bhima Prabhu for those kind words, and it's very real what he just said. Rukmini ji came as Balaram to me, and through that broken heart, I saw the light of Krishna. Haribo.
So beautiful. You're so beautiful. I've gotten to sit in a bus and sit next to you and talk to you and hear from you. So I can personally attest, and I know Nancy and some others can as well. She is a beautiful, beautiful soul. And we're so, so blessed to have her in this community.
Haribo.
Thank you. So I think the deities may be showing up soon, but Adipurusha was like, the deities will show up when they're ready. But if there's anybody else that has a testimony or a share, if you want to put it in the chat, I'd be happy to read it for you, of like, how has Krishna showed up in your life? How do you not feel alone in a practical way with Krishna being in your life? We would really love to hear from you. As you've seen, like when we share from our heart, it really touches others, devotees' hearts, and it helps others open up their hearts to Krishna even more. Through that testimony, through sharing, it really helps others. Like I know that while I was hearing Bruce share, while I was hearing Bhima Prabhu share, like all these shares, like Sharmila share, like my heart was just opening up, and I felt so overwhelmed by the love of Krishna. So if anybody else has anything they'd like to share before the deities come out, I know that I feel very blessed every day by this community and by Ananda Bihari Prabhu, who trusts me enough to do this service and to be there for all of you. And I feel so supported by all of you and so loved. And Krishna shows his love through the devotees. And we've seen this time and time again. And I've seen it time and time again. When I went through my surgery last year, and all of you offered prayers for me and sent messages when we've all been there for each other. And it's so important for us to do that. That yes, it's great to remember that Krishna's in our hearts and we're not alone, but it's also important to remember that we're tools, let's be tools of Krishna's mercy, and let's reach out to each other. If you haven't heard from someone in a while and you have their WhatsApp, like send them a message. Just be like, Hare Krishna, good morning. I haven't heard from you in a while. I miss you. How are you? That makes a difference. I can speak from personal experience. It does. So let's do that. Just a practical piece of advice. let's reach out to someone today. Oh, and here we are, our deities, our dear Radha Mulidhar Gaurachandra.
Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Tam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Anjani Yatya Bhagavan Sriyavriti Manti Adyanti Pan Kayanti Tiram Jaganti Anadati Maya Sadhu Kala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham.
Okay, well, thank you so much, as always, Adipurusha Prabhu, for giving us darshan of the deities. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't get to see our dear Radha Mulidhar and Gaurachandra. Thank you to all of you who were here in class today. Even if you didn't speak or write in the chat, you held space and you were here and you participated in that way. And we know you and we love you and we so appreciate you. So thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing everyone for tomorrow, because we get to celebrate our birthday boy tomorrow, Krishna Janmashtami. Hare Krishna, Haribo. So please make sure you have your birthday hats on tomorrow so that we can celebrate Krishna with a lot of joy and celebration tomorrow. So we're looking forward to seeing all of you. So please join us, because Srimad Bhagavatam class is every day and not all day, but maybe